Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pool Box Pals podcast. I am mad nerdy. Oh, wait. No,
No,
that's
I am mad nerdy.
wow.
Yes.
Something happened in space and time, and I forgot who I was.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
it happens every once in a while.
My name's Monk. What I did forget, though, is that I was going to do the intro. And so, like, as that last bit of the song was coming up, I was like, oh, yeah, it's time to shine, baby. And my flawless introduction where I forgot my own name. It was, yeah. Anyways, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. It's been a pretty good week. Really enjoyed pretty much everything I've read over the last week, and
Isn't
I
that
actually,
nice?
yeah, and I'll talk more about that later on, just like kind of some of the stuff that I got into, and then so I've been studying to be a home inspector. I took my tests and I passed on Monday, like just barely.
Woo! Oh,
Like
really?
if oh yeah, no, like I would totally if we had like the soundboard stuff going on, we could insert clips. It would be that one from Tommy Boy where he's like looking down the list after his test and he's like got a D plus. He's like, "Oh my god, I passed." Like probably shouldn't announce that, Clients are like, "Oh wow, this dude just barely squeaked by on his test," but
It's
no,
okay.
it's all about learning and growing. And so like I'm
Yeah.
excited that I got that hurdle out of the way and I can kind of move on with it. And then today is my anniversary with my lovely wife Kate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Seven
Oh,
seven years.
7 years. That means 7 years ago today, I was in Oregon. Again, wearing a
Well,
bold outfit.
no, you
Oh,
so
that's
we
right.
yeah, because
You
we
got
we
married before the Met where the oh,
we
you
got married
sneaky
and
son
then
of a
and then
gun.
we had a wedding like 3 months later.
So 3 months from today, 7 years ago, or no, wait, 7, you know what I'm trying to say. Back to
Yeah.
the bold.
Back to the Future.
Uh-huh. I've
Yeah.
never seen any of those movies. Yeah, you look very disappointed for the listeners. Oh no. Oh no. That's not a delicious drink. It's a gun. He's pulling out a gun. I probably shouldn't say this.
Sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not pulling out a gun. It's my beer. Um,
That's not a gun. It's my beer. Officer. oh,
um,
oh, good, good.
anyways,
Yeah.
um,
Anyways,
yeah.
I've
So
completely
you've
lost the
never
thread.
seen Back to the Future?
That's where we were. Yeah, I gathered a lot of the tidbits about what it's about from pop culture, but yeah, I've never seen the old flick.
Yeah,
So I guess somebody could say like it was for my parents, it wasn't for me, which is like kind of a reverse of that meme about like
yeah.
yeah, okay. I'm swinging for the fences this week, baby.
Let's do it.
We really need to get a soundboard. And by
We
we, I
do.
mean I'll just put some like I want some like good like canned laughter like I'm on the Big Bang Theory.
Oh yes, the laugh track. We need one of
Well,
those for sure.
we sure
Um,
do.
but
But
yeah, how was your week? I didn't ask how your week was.
my week doesn't matter. You know why
Okay,
my
yeah.
week? Well,
Yeah, if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter,
no,
sweep
nothing
it
of
under the
note.
rug.
Nothing of note has happened. But I was thinking about this on the when I watched your video on Instagram that you posted of all of your pools. It really feels like we're going to live up of the name of the Pool Box Pals this week because you got a bunch of comics, I got a bunch of comics,
Oh
and it
boy.
would be cool to just sit and like just talk about comics. But there's also a bunch that we want to talk about, so we should
Yeah,
probably
no,
just dive into
it
this
was
bad boy.
it was a good week of reading. Like I don't know, I was listening to our pals over at the comic book lair and their latest episode, and they were just talking about like how the last week is just like it wasn't that there was anything like bad, it just there wasn't anything like great. Like that's not how they necessarily phrased it, but like they had Ross on as a guest
Hmm.
and Ray and Ross were kind of talking about like yeah, like I mean it was a week, but it just like nothing really got me going. And like that's how it was for me last week as well. I didn't like
See, I had a
enjoy.
banger week last week. I felt like
Yeah.
I read like I mean, you can just go back and listen to last week's episode because I felt like I was just talking the whole time about like Rock and Roll Hell.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was horror, what, whatever. I felt like I
No,
just read a
you
lot
had
of good.
you had a good week last week. You had a lot that you got in that you really enjoyed. All that stuff that you read and enjoyed, I hadn't read.
So I mean, that's again, like I
But
was thinking about that, and this is like, take a shot, because this is just something that we say on. I take a shot, like I meant like take a, this is a
yeah,
drinking game,
shoot
because
shoot your shot.
there you go. Yeah. It's like a drinking game is what that's like a reference to, but instead it means like try to like ask a girl out on a date, and instead of like a drinking game when you watch like a movie and they do the thing. Anyways, this bit is way too meta. But um I was gonna say the thing that I always say is there's just so many comics. It was
Yeah.
just one of those weeks where I was driving to my comic book shop and I was thinking about all the stuff that you were reading and all the stuff that I had read and all the stuff that you have read recently. And I'm just like, man, there's just so many comics coming out. And I think it's just cool that we have just this little platform in the like infinite ether of the internet where we can just sit and talk about some of the comics that we're reading.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, enough chit chat. Tell me about what you got at your comic shop, you nerd.
Oh, I got a few things.
Oh,
As you
I want
mentioned.
to, because I'm curious to see how many we got that were the same.
Yeah, I am too, because I don't know. And
Yeah, I'm
I
just
don't
an
think
enigma
anybody
this week.
I don't think anybody but you and your comic shop guy know what you got. So
Yep, and the Lord.
but first up I got my DC here. I got Gotham City Year One issue 6. I believe this is the finale. So I'm looking forward to it. I've really enjoyed this series overall. I like kind of the detective, like, I mean, it stays true to like the detective comics of Gotham City, but it's going back way before Batman was the detective, the world's greatest detective. And
Right.
yeah, it's following around Slam Bradley,
Good old Slam Bradley. I
back
love that
when
name.
and it's called Year One because it's year one of when like Gotham City went from like pristine, like beautiful city where society was just thriving to like this is a terrible place to live because there's a lot of crime
And the only thing that can
and
fix
a
it is
lot
a
of
man as a
detective
bat.
work that needs to be done. So that
Yeah.
it's year one of that essentially. Then I got man, I've been really digging on Image lately.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I'll just throw this out here now, but like I've been trying to find Spawn issue 1 and issue 9. I guess they're the ones that you want if you have any Spawns.
Okay.
As I've said before, my mom threw out my comic collection. I asked my brother the other day if when he found his, if he found any of his Spawns. I wasn't allowed to buy Spawn in 1992 when it came out because
Yeah.
I was
I mean,
only
that's
6.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
too spooky for a young mad.
No, I thought it was cool because like my brother got it, and then our neighbors down the street, they were both super into it, and it was just like Spawn and like the launch of Image was just like a huge deal. So
Yeah.
I guess I kind of fell into like a rabbit hole of like reading about their history, and like having kind of lived the experience with them first coming out. But anyways, they're putting out Bloodstained Teeth, and I got issue 10 right here. I've
Nice.
been really enjoying this series, so I'm looking forward to getting into that this week. Another series that I'm really digging, issue 2,
Oh,
Local Man.
I got the same one, so I guess I don't have to go out of my way to show you.
Oh man, I almost got a different cover.
Were you gonna get the one that's like this cover on a coffee table? Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So
yeah,
like for those of you who are listening, on the back of the cover, if you flip it, you see
yeah. It's a
like a
flip
comic
comic.
book of
Yeah,
like what took place in the world that like he was a superhero within. For
they're
those of
doing
you,
past and present perfectly by
right?
making
Yeah.
it into a flip book.
Right.
And then and our buddy Andy had pointed out to me because I had noticed that I forget the villain's name of Spawn, but like the first main villain, Matt Mon starts with an M. We'll just say M.
M.
I don't. It's
It
more that
could
I
be
don't know how to
either of
say it.
us.
Yeah. Um, but like his name was dropped in the first issue, and so it makes me wonder is like Local Man in like the Spawn universe, and like
Oh,
so
right. Yeah. He says something
yeah,
about like if oh yeah, like I'm not the person who stopped blah 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 M X amount of times. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the one time I think he said. And then
Well,
my
I'm
last
giving him
one
more
from
credit.
Image that I got, this was on the key list.
Yep.
It's from Mark Miller, Frank Quitely. The Ambassadors, issue 1.
Oh, sweet. See, this isn't the one I thought you were going to say. I thought you would have picked up another one from Image, but yeah, I'm glad you got this because this was kind of like a
Were you
I
thinking
was like,
Indigo Children
yes,
or Children of and whatever?
Indigo Children. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got that.
I wanted to. My shop didn't get it in.
It's a thick boy. It's a big one.
Yeah,
But was normal price, which is nice because like everything else that I bought was $4.99. So I don't know what's going on in Image, but they're like because I want to
yeah,
say Nightclub is over there, and that's $1.99. So
$1.99. Yeah,
Image is trying to change the game, and I'm with Image.
yeah.
Me and my broken thumb.
Yeah, love Image, man. Yeah, I've been going down the Image rabbit hole, as I said. So everything they're putting out right now that I've been getting, I've been really enjoying.
So do you know anything about the ambassadors? Is
So
that
this is what it says. This is the little snippet I got from like the key collection
give it to me?
list. Is it just says ordinary people from around the world present their case for why they should be one of the 6 chosen to receive superpowers.
Boom. I love it.
Yeah. So looking forward to that one. And from Boom and IDW, I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers crossover. This is the second crossover. This
Boom.
is issue 4 of
I keep
5.
saying
So
boom.
it's coming. That one's about to end. This one. So this is one that I still want to go back and read issue 1. I've read a lot of mixed reviews on it, but they had already put issue 2 in my pull box for me at the shop, so I decided I might as well just go with it. But Liquid Kill issue 2.
Okay. Nice.
And then this one I'm pretty excited about, so it makes me look forward to Sunday.
Oh,
Scout Comics, Granite State Punk.
Oh, that looks so
Yeah.
cool.
So I was honestly shocked
Oh,
because my shop doesn't always get Scout stuff in.
yeah,
But when
right.
I went to, and I didn't ask them to I didn't ask them to pull this for me. So
Ah,
it was just on the shelf, but they had like 5 copies on the shelf, which means my shop obviously thought it was
I'm so jealous right now. That
a big
looks
deal.
so good.
So yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
I'm gonna have to
excited to
go
get
back
into
and
this
yell at
one.
my comic book
And
shop.
you know that VHS cover that you got of that one Scout?
Yeah, tell me you got is there a VHS cover of it?
Yeah, there's a VHS one of this. My shop didn't have it, I don't think. I didn't see it anyway, but
I'm
I
gonna,
would have
I'm
liked
gonna
that one.
there's like a solid chance that I'm gonna order that comic while we're sitting here on this podcast.
Yeah, you might as
Um,
well.
yeah.
And
Anything
then
else, buddy?
yeah,
Pal?
I got 3 more, but I'll just do them all kind of together. It's my Star Wars pulls. So I got
Star
Star Wars High
Wars.
Republic, The Blade. So this is a 5-issue story that fits in with the main run of High Republic. Don't mind that VF. This is a reused
Oh,
bag
you and
and
your
board.
reused bags.
Yeah. So yeah, I got those, and then this one was also a key pull for the week: Star Wars Jabba's Palace.
Oh, wait. You mean this?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is mostly what I was excited to show you. It's like, hey, Mark, look, I'm
you
back in
got a
on
Star
Star
War.
Wars. I think we've talked about the Book of Boba Fett on and off, Mike. The biggest like sin of that to me, I won't say the biggest, but a sin for sure was the fact that that Jabba's palace was just empty. Like
Yeah.
there was like 6 people standing around a table. And I'm like, what made this building iconic is the weird creatures that you were allowed to like put in here. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like just yeah, and I felt like that was so lacking. And so I'm very excited to dive into this because I'm like, just give me weird, gross space mobsters being slimy in a basement. I love
Yeah,
it.
love it.
I'm so for it.
No, like I think Return of the Jedi might be one of my favorite like openings of all the Star Wars movies. Like, because at least for me as a kid, like that's the one that stood out the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Jabba's palace has always had this like mystical like lore behind it that's never really been talked about. And essentially that's some of what this is supposed to be about, is just kind of like that underground world of Jabba's palace during Jabba's time as the Hutt.
The
or I
slimy
guess
time.
they're all Hutts, but being the whatever his
Alphas.
title was, the Alpha Hutt or whatever.
Alpha Hut.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, but it's gonna have the first appearance of Sylvan Kane, a mysterious antagonist plotting to overthrow Jabba. So that's kind of the little teaser for why this is a big deal.
Man.
But yeah, that's everything I got this week. I'm really excited about this little stack here.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm on Scout Comics right now getting Granite Skate Punk. I hope if I go into our shared Google account that when I go to check out that your credit card information is in there. I mean, it's $4. Who cares? Um, yeah, I'm gonna swindle you. Anyways, that was you got some great pools. I feel like this is probably do you feel like this is your biggest pool for the year?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, I would
I
imagine
mean,
so.
I honestly don't really want anything bigger than this because what was this, 9, 10
Ugh.
issues?
I wasn't counting. I was just riding that wave with you, baby.
I'm gonna count them while you go over yours.
That's fine. So just right off the bat, I see this is up on your shelf, so maybe you'll be chatting about this later. But I got Darkland number 4, so this might be my Scout. Actually, no, it's something else is going to be my Scout Comic Sunday. But yeah, I'm. This came out as new in my shop, so I guess I didn't miss it or anything. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into the world of Darkland. Are you going to be talking about that at all later? Can we tease
No,
for it?
I kind of
Oh,
I
no.
kind of saved it because I kind of figured you'd be picking it
Okay,
up.
that's fine.
And we have been chatting about that one. So
Right. No, that's great. I love it. I love you. I love everything.
I love you too,
So,
man.
you know what else I love? We're just gonna stay on Scout Comics. Scout
Oh,
Comics.
perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna pull up the synopsis at some point in time, but I didn't for this one. This is called Miracle Kingdom, and it's about a TV evangelist. And this man in the background, I believe he's some sort of detective or something like that that is going to thwart this man or reveal him to be a con man or something like that. And those are
Yeah.
kind of interesting themes to me personally, and just I was going to say politically, but that's probably not political, which is good because this is a comic book podcast. But yeah, so that's probably going to be the comic that I'm going to save for Scout Comics Sunday.
Hey, if you can get 2 in
If I can
on
get 2,
Scout,
that's true.
I did get 2 Scout comics in on Tuesday and
On Tuesday?
not Tuesday on. I got 2 on Sunday.
That's where
Tuesday.
you got it thrown off.
It was a Tuesday on a Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, the other one I read, it was the finale for Agent of World.
Okay.
But I didn't get around to posting anything about that one. So
Okay. Understandable. But yeah, I'm just from the cover alone, it's very enticing to me. It's giving me like vibes of a comic that I want to say A Calculated Man, something like that, but I don't, for some reason that just is in my head, but I don't think that's right.
yeah,
Just like the general vibe, but I think I'm off. And yeah, what were you gonna say?
I had kind of hoped that my shop had this one, but they didn't. I didn't even know it was coming out until today, or maybe like last night or something. But it sounds really good. And yeah, Scout's just a fun place just to dive in on some really good indie stories. So
Yeah. So okay, so this next one that I got is a mystery to me, but it's definitely probably gonna be like the one that I'm most like looking forward to. This is probably maybe this and the last one are like the most that I'm anticipating. But we talked a lot of last week about how much we love one shots, and
yep.
this bad boy is a one shot. And if you can see, I'm moving this around. There's a you can see my little circle in the background there. It has a glare on it.
I should
It has,
mention that this is also a one shot.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, I'm definitely gonna get it
that's
at some
the
point.
Granite State Punk for those listening.
So this comic that I was just holding up is called Everything Sucks. And then it says Real Gamer Hours. So that's like, I don't know if that's a tagline or if that's just what it is.
Can you show me the cover again?
Yeah,
Hold it up again.
absolutely. I really love this cover. And
That's a great cover.
the art is very reminiscent of like Captain Underpants, or like even like Rocco's Modern Life, some like Rugrat, like that early kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's very 90s. And like I try not to get like baited in by nostalgia, but I guess it got me this time, and I'm just now realizing it live on the internet.
Who put that out?
I am not 100% sure, but the story and art is by Michael Sweater, just one person. So that's Silver's Sprocket. It says Silver
Oh, I see
Weather
it.
or
There it is.
Sweater
Yeah.
Sweater Weather Studios down there at the bottom.
Sweater Weather Studios.
That's what it says on the back. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Michael Sweater combines 90s animation, nostalgia, sitcom annex with a seasoning of stoners comedy and a hilarious series.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I guess maybe it's a bunch of stuff, but a bunch of stories inside or something. But I'm pretty sure this is just a one shot. It was $8, which, if it's a great story, contains a bunch of stuff as a one shot, I don't mind paying that.
Exclusive stickers and poster inside.
I didn't say anything about the stickers.
Is
I
it on
got
the
the
is it on the
exclusive. Oh
front?
no, yeah. It says exclusive stickers. Yeah, you're right. I would imagine that this is maybe the poster. Um, just let me waste away, and it's a
Huh.
computer with cigarettes. I feel that, homie. Maybe it's. Oh wait,
I-
no, yeah, here it is. Wow. So there's the stickers. Okay,
Nice.
dope. I'm gonna have to put one of these on the table that I'm currently sitting at, because I have a bunch of stickers. But yeah, now I'm really excited about this. Man, we keep finding such cool comics. Like,
I was just thinking the same thing, man. Like, I'm reading about this one and like just looking at the cover, and it's just super cool.
oh
It's
my gosh.
it is like a 90s cartoon for adult millennials. That's what it looks like.
I hate that. I hate it. I hate it that it just is just like, here you are, just buy it, and it just sucked me right in. It was 100% for me. But and then the last one that I picked up was Bulls of Beacon Hill #3. And so this was my interaction with my comic book shop guy when I went in today. I walked
Yeah.
in and he's like, "This is the only thing I have for you in your pool box." And I'm like, "I don't know if I'm gonna keep going on that. I don't really like know how I feel about it. I didn't read issue #2 yet." And he's like, "It's okay, whatever you want to do." And then I open it up, and there's this panel of like the main guy standing in like a military thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so some crazy stuff happens between the last time we saw him at the end of issue #1 and where it's picking up now at the issue #3, right? So
Right.
something happened in issue #2. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'm sure it's something cool and interesting. So we reviewed it and we enjoyed it. So I just didn't have time to read it that one week, and it just fell into the to read pile and went
Yeah.
away. But
And
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
stay on it.
I'm not pulling the rest of it. I'm gonna wait for the trade to come out on it.
Yeah.
I mean, issue one was I did enjoy it. It was a good setup. But this is one of those ones where I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stick with what I said this year. I'm gonna focus on getting more trades, and not buy as many just single issues.
Yeah.
Even though today I bought 10 single issues.
Yeah. I won't tell Kate, who's probably listening.
She might.
Uh,
I think she's listening.
Oh,
Hey, babe.
howdy. Hi, babe. Um, but do you wanna get into a book about aliens or a book about the spooky woods or ground?
Let's get into the one about aliens first, because
And
it's an issue two, and then we'll have an issue one
wow,
to talk
we'll
about.
build up.
Yeah.
This is gonna be very exciting.
Um. Yeah.
So what we are referring to is Blue Book #2
Yeah.
from
So this
Dark
is
Horse
by
Comics.
James Tinian the fourth, with art by Michael Avon Oming, I believe, and lettered by At Atya Bidikar.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this. So the premise of this is the Blue Books is like a real like government document that was released
Yeah, it
like
gets mentioned
years
on
ago.
this
It's
specific page.
the for those who don't know, it's the one about UFOs and like what our government knows about the UFO
Yeah.
situation of like the 50s and 60s. But this is the true story of Betty and Barney Hill, and
Mm.
just their story and what they believe that they saw, and like the government had this in a file. And Tinian is, oh man, he's doing a really good job, because this isn't something he made up,
Mhm.
like And that's what I'm used to reading of his, because this is the guy who's behind Something's Killing the Children and pretty much the whole House of Slaughter like world.
Right.
Um, he also, I'm reading his Department of Truth right now. He's worked in Marvel, he's worked in DC. He's had great runs. He has great stories. He's an excellent writer. Um, but this is a story based on real events
Right.
or real recorded events.
Yeah.
And
Well, let me ask you this. Did this go where you thought it was going to go?
um here's what I thought with this story. Like it's interesting because you get this main story and then we're getting this like bonus story at the end, which we can get into later. But so it's not a full comic of the story, but I felt like this one was really paced out quite well just for the story that you needed, and because there was so little like dialogue and you saw so much on like Barney's face, like he just went through something and he doesn't know how to process it, and that was just
Mhm.
captured like throughout different panels. And even though it was short, like the amount of story that was in there felt a lot longer to me, just because of like, again, Tinian is one of these writers that can make you feel and he works with artists who can draw what you should feel and the mood and setting,
Mm,
everything like that all just comes out in these panels.
yeah,
So
I
yeah, it
agree.
was, again, it was like it's very minimalistic, and they did a really good job like just telling this next part of the story of Betty and Barney Hill.
I am so sometimes when I think about just any form of media that like I consumed and I sit on the fence for a while about whether or not I'd like or dislike something, I usually find myself liking it and liking it more than I thought I was going to like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and the thing that I'm referring to specifically with this comic is the type of narration that it does. Because
Hmm.
at a certain point, the narrator just jumps in and the way that the story kind of is rolling, it's the first issue is very much just like we're telling a story of like from point A to point B. And then in this issue, we have like an opening and then it kind of like speedballs you through a couple of days. And that's where the narration comes in.
Well, yeah.
And
Well, and
hold on,
it's
let me just
yeah, yeah,
finish
yeah.
my point. That it felt at first I was like, well, this kind of feels jarring, but then for me, I think the more it came up in the issue, it felt like it was like America's most like unsolved mysteries or something like
Mhm.
that.
Right,
Like
right,
of
right.
just like some like this ominous voice comes in or like the I want to say the time zone. What's that show called? Um Twilight Zone. There we go. Time zone. I was close. Um anyways, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the whole story of Betty and Barney in this one is just like a few hours of time.
Mm, mhm.
But because in the last issue left off with them like being like, no, we're really seeing something here. We're really seeing like UFO. And then this issue starts off with like they arrived at home at this time, which ended up being a lot later than they thought it would be, and they have neither of them have any recollection of like a certain amount of time. And
Right.
the way, and like that's what was so well captured.
Mm,
Um
I agree.
and yeah, and so I really really enjoyed just how the the art complemented the story that was given.
I agree.
um
It definitely adds, like I was saying, that like sort of like Twilight Zone-ish of it, you know, like of just like very like I don't stilted doesn't seem like the right word because I'm not 100% sure what that means, but it's just very like fixed and like which is probably the opposite. Forget I said stilted, but it's very like it just seems like it's solid and just very like whatever's happening is like very like firm. Even it's serious, even though it's very cartoony, which is I think is very interesting, you know, because the art is kind of like, and we are talking about it earlier with Everything Sucks, but the art in it is like kind of reminiscent of like the Powerpuff Girls or
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
something like that, you know, like just very like solid shapes with solid colors. And it's mostly just, I thought that they would change once they kind of, I thought they would get away from all the blueness once they got out of the what is that called, out of the woods, or out of like that situation when they went back to like the normal life, that it wouldn't be as blue. I'm not upset that it stayed that way. It was just like, oh, that's why I asked. Like, so I thought, at this is kind of a spoiler for issue number one, but at the end of issue number one, he's face to face with an open door and you see some aliens standing in there, and that's kind of where it stops. I thought we were going to see like the inside of what happened, but I guess I'm
Yeah.
a fool, and I feel like he would like he's a better writer to not just dive right into that, but to tell a mystery and then to like go back to it or whatever. But you know, good writing, it sucked me in, and you know, I'm gonna keep going for sure.
Right on. Yeah. No, I'm really digging it. The one thing I did not like about this issue
Oh,
is I didn't really care for the Green Children story, which was
I didn't read
the
it.
true weird. Yeah. Like it just so the Green Children is like it's a piece of, I guess, medieval lore.
Yeah,
Um it's been around for, you know,
forever.
for a few centuries, and so this is just a telling of the true weird from an account of a priest or like a town leader about these two children that came to their town. And I don't know, like it wasn't told poorly, it wasn't that, it just wasn't like fitting to like Blue Book
Okay.
to
Yeah.
me. And like where like the last true weird story felt like it fit in really well with Blue Book, just kind of with, it was more modern lore, and I feel like that's what Blue Book should represent more, is just like more modern lore. And
Yeah.
they went with a piece of, you know, ancient medieval lore,
Yeah.
and it just didn't really vibe with me. And so like it
Sure.
wasn't a bad story necessarily, and it wasn't like
It's kind of like how True Detective season one was kind of like supernatural and like detective noir, and then season two was about gambling and real estate or something like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
was like, we want noir spooky world back, you know. So
Hmm.
it's that's the kind of thing with like anthologies, is like, you, issue number one is cool and it sets the world, but what is going to stay in issue number two? You know,
Yeah,
like, is it going to be the art, is it going to be the quarter, you know, like
right.
whatever it is, you know, what have you. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say other than like, I'm just excited to see where this goes. I hope he doesn't pull a Jeff Lemire and keep us going for 17 issues before he drops anything. Um, but
Yeah.
that's just me being facetious, being a silly boy on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it other than like, yeah, I enjoy the main story, so I'm gonna keep sticking with it. I don't really know how many issues it's supposed to be. But yeah,
Who knows?
I'm going with it. Yeah, up next we
Up
got
next,
The Neighbors,
the neighbors, or as they
issue
say in
one.
Spanish, El. You got this. Finish it for me. I set myself up and now I feel like a fool.
Actually, oh man, if my wife's listening, she's gonna be so disappointed. I don't know the Spanish
I
word
don't
for
either.
neighbors.
Uh-oh. It's
Amigos
okay.
is
Amigos
friends.
next door. Yeah, my
Yeah.
the friends. Anyways, I'm sorry I ruined the intro with that stupid bit. But we're talking about the neighbors. I'm holding my cover upside down. This is and we talked about this last.
Vestino.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
We
got it.
figured it out. We learned. But I'm a huge fan of this cover. I
Yeah.
feel like it represents the comic much better than your cover. Like even just the internal art.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they both honestly do a pretty good job of what's going on. Yours
Yeah,
is a little bit
story, but like art
your
wise, I mean, like
yours are
styling.
like, yeah, no, I think
Anyways,
yours is my favorite of the two because it does draw directly from the story inside, where this one, the main cover that I got, it more just like alludes to the story
yeah.
inside. Um
But what is the story inside?
well, let me tell you about that.
Well, well.
So Neighbors, yeah, so this comes from Boom Studios. It's written by Jude Ellison S. Doyle. The art is done by Leticia Catanici.
Sure.
Apologize if I got all three of those guesses wrong. Colorist is Alessandro Santoro and lettered by Becca Carey. And this is a horror, but also it fits under the genre of just LGBTQ plus stories.
Yep.
And that's something I didn't really know I was getting into with that, but I was like happy to read it because
Mm-hmm.
like I am affirming of the community and I like seeing the representation in a world of comics that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really well written. This is the story of essentially Janet and Oliver Gowdy move into a quaint mountain town. Their daughter Casey becomes part of a horrific chain of events, revealing that their neighbors are anything but what they seem.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the opening bit of it. There's a little bit more to what the publisher summary had to say, but the gist of it is this new family moves to town and they realize there's something going on with their neighbors. And uh, at the end of the book, it leaves you with a pretty good cliffhanger of like, okay,
Yeah, I wanted to say this about this book, that this book does one of my favorite things in comics is where you get introduced to a world, you get introduced to characters. They don't try to shove everything in. They just establish these are who these people are. This is the circumstances.
mhm,
Last 2 pages, something happens. You
yeah,
know? Like I I really do think that that's like my favorite way. If it's like you're gonna start a series, that's probably my favorite way to go. Just
yeah.
and I know I've said
Well,
it
and like,
before.
and the right, like the way the writer described it too, it's this is a terror that shadows queer and trans people who are raising families in 2022.
Mm,
Um, and so kind of like having that little note from the writer themselves really kind of helps paint the picture of the horror that's like kind of coming in here.
mhm.
And so yeah, the characters we talked, Janet and Oliver, they are the husband and wife. Oliver is
A trans man.
a trans man. I was trying to think of
Yeah.
like the right way
F
to say that, but a trans
FTM.
man. Yeah. And Casey, their daughter, is Oliver's stepdaughter. Casey was raised by two moms.
Mm,
Janet left her wife for Oliver, and then Oliver and Janet have their daughter Isabel. And then there was kind of just the other characters in this issue were some of the neighbors that came out. One of them being Agnes, the old woman across the street who
who's just
has
straight spooky.
just straight
Like
up, and she's like right out of the gates too.
like like she couldn't just be more ominous of a person. Just like
Yeah,
sitting in like her yard, just like muttering like cryptic, like the water comes up from the ground, or like whatever the heck she was saying. I can't remember at the moment. I guess I could look it up. But
yeah,
yeah, no, and so this, as I was reading this is like really what I wanted to say about this was I didn't, I couldn't remember what publisher this was from, and I didn't like, I just picked it up because I'm like, oh, we got to read this. Like, I want to like, I want to make sure that I get this in before the podcast because I'm genuinely curious about it, and I picked it up and I'm reading it, and like just the art and just like the themes and the stylings, I'm like, oh, this just has to be Boom, like it's just
yeah,
100% Boom, and then like what reminded me was the covers thing. I was like, oh yeah, Mark had the different covers than me that I didn't like, and that's classic Boom. Scare me
yeah.
away with their weird covers.
I
But
really like Boom. I also went down like a history of Boom rabbit hole this week too, and that was just fun to explore.
oh, did you
Like,
find out any? What's your
well,
fun
I just
fact that you
like,
found? Oh well, I.
well, I yeah, well, so I didn't like things I didn't know about Boom, but I kind of always kind of knew is Boom is very like Hollywood centric, I would say. Like they're all of their stories seem like they could be a show or a movie. And they do get some big names that submit comics to them. Their big one of late was Berserker with Keanu Reeves,
Right.
but they've done others with other celebrity writers. But the guys who founded Boom used to be Hollywood guys who would option comics for movies or television series.
Oh,
And
nice,
they wanted to get out of Hollywood, and so their answer to that was starting a comic book company. And
nice.
yeah, and I think that was like mid 2000s, 2006, I want to say.
Yeah, because they seem like relatively new, Boom Studios, but I mean, they
Yeah. but
they're
they've
doing
put out a lot of
fantastic.
really cool stuff that
Right.
I just wasn't really ever aware of because I honestly didn't really pay attention to a lot of indies until me and
Start
you
doing this.
started doing this. So
Before, and not until we became Pullbox Pals,
mhm.
trademark at whatever. I don't know how trademarks work. Um, but yeah, I do we say what we thought about it at all?
Well,
If
I
we,
mean, I wrote a post about it, and
that's
just a
right.
couple
Yeah.
like things that I said about it was, there's two levels going on to the story. So the first one is just the family themselves. We kind of mentioned it, but it's a mother left her wife for a trans man, Oliver. Janet's eldest daughter, Casey, wrestles with her mom's
Oh, right.
choices.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but how did it make you feel? How did on the inside? How'd you feel on the inside? Did we talk
I
about
was
this?
no. It, but
Okay.
it, yeah, no, but it was spooky, man. Like it was a very like
Yeah.
spooky comic, not because of what the level of what's going on with the family, but this other level that yes, the neighbors are eerie and they're a little bit like too forward with them approaching this new family that moved to town.
Right.
And I don't want to spoil the end because I want people to
No.
read this for themselves and experience that ending. But man, I'm looking forward to like the rest of the series.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's yeah. Again, like I said, like it just goes right into it, and at the end there. So hopefully, this is one we pick it up, and we're just riding that fun comic wave.
And man, I do really like my cover too.
Uh-oh,
I'm just looking at it on the picture, but it's just
that's
this
great.
cover is so good because down here in the bottom, like okay, so this is the mom Janet with the red hair. Oliver is up top here. Here's Casey, and then here's the younger sister. I forget her name.
Me too.
But then back here is just some houses. I think this here is the house that they moved into, and then these are some neighbors. They're kind of in the shadow. You can't really see them.
Mm,
But then back here in the white, it's like the neighborhood street, and it's all
gotcha.
lit with white. There's different neighbors peering out their windows, which are like illuminated in a
They have a
spooky way.
they have an outline from the lights on in their room,
Yeah, so
ominous lights.
I really enjoyed my cover. I really enjoy
Good.
your cover. I really enjoyed this issue overall. I'm sticking with it.
I am too.
Yeah, so good job to that whole team again. Like, and thank you, Boom, for continuing to produce such great comics.
My goodness, they are, and I'm sure that they will continue to do so. But
Man,
hey, we didn't really talk about who has more comics that they want to talk about. I have like two or three. How about you?
I have about two or three.
Okay, you can go
And
ahead. You can go first.
yeah,
I'll
so
be
I guess
very polite.
first up is I also posted about this one, but I Vanish 5 came out. And again, this is I mentioned earlier, like I'm on a pretty good image kick right now. And this is
Boom.
from Image, not Boom.
Yeah, I keep saying boom whenever you hold something up because it's like boom. Again, we
It's
just need
yeah,
sound effects, but I don't. I mean, I
boom.
should have said image.
But yeah, this is by Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman. It's the artwork I've said before. It's a tribute to kind of like the early days of Image with like Spawn, and some of the I can't blood not blood sport young blood
Young. Oh, I
something.
know who you're talking. It is Bloods. No, Blood Spot is one, or no, is it Blood? I don't know. We're gonna.
Anyways, that yeah, we'll butcher it if we keep going down there. But
Okay.
but yeah, so like the art is just very well much a tribute to this early stuff, but the story itself is just really fun because this is the first issue for the second arc. So the first arc was 4 issues. You love
Okay.
4 issue
I
arcs.
love 4 issue
I love.
arcs.
You've convinced me that 4 issue arcs are great.
They are great. I was
And
right.
so yeah, like the kind of the gist of it though is follows Oliver, and Oliver was the chosen one,
Classic.
like supposedly, like he's kind of like this Anakin Skywalker Harry Potter character.
Yeah.
Okay. um but yeah, so when he was 14, he was prophesied to save the magical realm of the Everkeep from the dreaded Baron Vanish, who, yes, he's like this Emperor Palpatine meets the he whose name we don't speak, Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Yeah. Um, Oliver's parents were killed in battle. That's a trope,
Uh-oh.
that we see with like Harry's parents.
Right.
And but yeah, so then it just leads him to travel to Earth and shoot Vanish in the face. Like this is all in issue 1. And so like the chosen one has killed the bad guy like in the first few pages of issue 1.
Mm,
And then it's like him growing up and years later, and he struggles with drugs and alcohol because he's already lived up his purpose as the chosen one.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I
Which
remember
sounds
you explaining
ridiculous.
that premise to me, but I think that's really great. I think that's really cool. There was
um,
a not to cut you off, but there was a story that was called The Further Adventures of Nick something, and I can't remember. I can never
oh yeah,
remember the
yeah,
last name. And that
yeah.
was kind of a similar thing of like a superhero who had like kind of gone out of his prime or something like that. Um,
Well, it was more that like with Oliver, it's more that he was kind of the hero that never was because he was so young when he achieved what he was prophesied to do.
mm,
And
right.
like, and he did it in a way that wasn't allowed by like the school he went to. He found a gun and he killed the person rather than fought him with magic.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fantastic.
but yeah, so like this new arc though, like and like the other thing is that like the followers of Vanish, Baron Vanish, they all became like a Justice League Avengers type team in the future. They were these old wizards that disguised themselves as heroes.
Yeah.
And when Oliver figured that out, he like went after them and like took them down. But this new arc starts off very much like Lemire's Moon Knight, where it's just like you keep changing worlds and you wonder like, okay, is this world that we just read about in the first arc, is that the real world, or is Oliver really
Mm,
like a patient in a mental facility? And like that's what this issue bounces back and forth between.
that's very
Um,
sweet.
and so like I'm really enjoying this series still. I'm sticking with it. Uh, I don't really know how many other people are reading it. I think we have at least one other pal reading it.
Yeah, I've seen it just on like Instagram. Like people are definitely picking it up. So, or
And
maybe
it
I'm just
did it
thinking about
did
your
win
post.
indie comic of the week last week on our secret source of figuring out where to get
Comics are
comics.
coming from.
Yeah,
Wow. Well,
League
that's
of Comic
exciting.
Geeks.
That's it's always so is I wonder if this next one's going to be 4. But man, that'd be sick if they just started doing like 4 issue arcs. That would be great.
Yeah.
I'm in on that.
Oh, Andy's reading it.
There we go.
There.
Yeah, that would be some good old pal Andy
Yeah,
Header.
because Andy's trying. There's some of the variant covers are like tribute to Spawn covers.
Yeah. Nice. People are doing those out the wazoo nowadays, Mark.
Yeah.
But so
What did you read this week that you got all jazzed about?
I got pretty jazzed about this one. That's what I'm about to say. I keep the I don't want to say that the story is similar between this and the neighbors because that's not the right way to put it. But for some reason, these two stories like overlap in my head, and I've
Okay.
been like getting them back and forth, been confused. Um, maybe because it's like about going someplace, and there's like I don't know. But I'm talking about the Curse of Cleaver County.
Oh yes.
So this
Is
is
this a
about
one shot?
no, this is
Oh,
ongoing. There was another one shot that I'll get to in uno momento. Man, look at
okay.
me just busting out all the
Look at you.
Spanish this week.
Good job, man.
So this is from Source Point Press. It is written by Garrett Gunn. The art and the logo is by Kit Wallace. The lettering and design by Dave Lentes, and it was edited by Christina Blanche. Yeah. So uh, this the beginning of this is really cool. It starts in this like office, and it's like just a clearly like very overworked businessman who's just very frustrated, and he's yelling at his assistant, and she's frustrated with him, and yada yada yada. And so she's allergic to coffee, so she can't take, like, he spills some coffee and she can't clean it up, so he cleans it up and he goes to take out the trash. And when he's outside, he sees this big spooky monster, man. It's a spooky monster, and it grabs him. And Mark, I'm gonna break it to you gently.
Okay.
Uh,
Please do.
he squeezes his head like a pinata, or
Ooh,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I guess you don't do that with a pinata. You beat it with a stick. You don't squeeze a pinata. If you could hug a
No, that
pinata,
that's like
it probably
just
wouldn't pop.
it's like
A
squeezing
tomato?
a I was gonna say like a water balloon.
Yeah, a water balloon. It kind
Like
of
a
looks like a
like one that's like perfectly, filled up to where it'll break fairly easy. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that happens, and then it's a smash cut to this the exit of a city, and it says Bridgewater, and it's in Cleaver County. So this is all taking place within Cleaver County, and it's a group of I want to say teens, but it's probably not teens, young people in cars, and yeah, they're just going on a road trip, and they're all excited to like go on vacation and like do some drugs and yada yada yada. But they're going to visit this girl's parents, and I
Hmm.
can't remember this girl's name. I'm terrible. Jenny. There we go. We're going to visit Jenny's parents, and I don't want to spoil any of the connections between any of these stories, but yeah, I'm very curious to see where this goes. This
Hmm.
was this kind of did that same thing that the neighbors did. That's probably a little bit why it was overlapped in my head, but it built that world, it introduced all the characters, it kind of introduced you to the vibe of it, and then at the end you get kind of that thing that sets up, okay, so now we're about to go on the journey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gandalf is
Sorry,
knocking at
what
the
is it
door.
called again?
It is called The Curse of Cleaver County from Source Point Press. And it's book number 1, and it says mature, and it's very much mature. But I am I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of time. I thought it was a lot of time. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Yeah, I'm just excited to see. There wasn't much offered outside of just character development and just being like, these are who these people are. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. So that is The Curse of Cleaver County.
Yeah,
Yay!
that looks like that's gonna be 4 issues for you there, bud and your
Oh,
pal.
there we go.
But
Okay, so that's
there is
great.
an ash can that came out in August.
Excuse me?
Like an ash can, it's kind of like I don't know, like a preamble.
Oh, okay. A prelogue,
uh,
something like
pre-
that.
Prologue.
Prologue.
Yeah,
Sorry, but
prologue.
prologue,
Prologue. Yeah.
prologu, Bologna. But how about you? What else do you got there, Mister Potato? Remember when we
Um.
just quick side tangent? Remember in Taiwan we used to call you Ma Ling Shu Shen Sheng, which
Yeah.
means Mister Potato.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I'm from Idaho. Yeah.
yeah. So there you go. So if you ever feel like saying a mouthful at
I think
Mark,
shoe. Yeah. Yeah.
Ma Ling Shu. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. And I my
uh
but my actual name that I got for like Chinese was Disho Jun.
oh. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Have
Nobody knows what that means. But we're gonna
some
keep it
people do.
as we're gonna keep
But
it a secret. What else did you get
keep
into?
uh
Quit teasing me with these Chinese names
sorry man, I apologize. They just come up every so often.
that I
Um
brought up. It's my fault.
yeah, so I also was really excited to read Door to Door Night by Night number 4 last week. Really, really enjoyed it. It's by Colin Bunn. Um, but to me, it's kind of like I don't know, Scooby Doo meets Venture Brothers meets I don't know, Trailer Park Boys in a way.
Oh,
Just like the
interesting. I
like
was
the
not
all the
expecting that.
yeah, well, like all the main characters, they're like a band of door to door salesmen, but
Mm,
they kind of get wrapped up in all this like, oh, there's some spooky mystery going on in this town. And it's because they go from town to town selling like coupons that'll support their local fire department. So like
okay.
the job they're doing is like it's good, but they make what they earn essentially each day. So like
Yeah.
it's not they're not making a whole bunch of money, but it's enough for them to like get a motel and buy some
Yes.
beers at the end of the night and eat some
Right.
food.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like this one just had to do with this character named Skinless Tom who's been
Oh,
haunting the roads. Yeah. And um
good old skinless Tom.
And so they have to go figure out like what's going on with this character, skinless Tom, and
Tinless Stom.
yeah, but and they did. They figured it out. It was
Yeah.
he was the ghost of this kid that was murdered by
Let me guess.
essentially the priest of the town insinuated it. He's not the one who like carried it out.
Oh,
That this kid named Tom needs. He was like a newcomer that like showed up in town, and they got a bad vibe from him and wanted to get rid of him. But he was actually just trying to pass through town to go
yeah.
see his mom during like
Oh
college
no.
break.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah,
And they
but
made him
just
skinless.
but yeah, just the way that it's written though, the way that Bun's been writing these stories has just been like really fun. Like it's fun horror. Like it's
Mm,
nothing so like ridiculous that like you feel spooked, but it's kind of like if you were to I don't want to say like read back on Goosebumps, but maybe when you were a kid and you read something like Goosebumps, it had like a scariness to it, but it was childlike, so it was easy to get over.
for
Like
sure.
that's kind of how Door to Door Night by Night is for me. Like I really enjoy it, but it's just like it's not overbearing on like horror tropes.
Yeah, it's not like some like graphic stuff that's like sticking with you at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way that so yeah, I've mentioned Colin Bunn wrote it. The artist is Sally Cantorino. Um, yeah, her lines are great. The colors are great. Really set the mood. And it's lettered by Jim Campbell. Jim Campbell's a guy that's been around for quite a while, I believe.
The classic.
I've seen his name on quite a bit of stuff. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so I've been really enjoying that one. I don't really know if I know anybody else that's reading it off the top of my head, but if anybody
The
out there
guy,
is
my
reading it,
comic book guy is reading it, I
oh, is
believe.
he? What
Yeah.
does he have to say about it?
He liked it.
Yeah.
He tried pushing it on me, and I said, "No, I'm leaving that to my co-host. He's gonna read it, not me." Um, no, yeah, I regret not getting into it more because it seemed like something I would enjoy. But there's a little part of me that's like kind of over horror at the moment.
Yeah,
Even though like horror was one of like my favorite stuff that I'm reading. And the Curse of Cleaver County, I enjoyed that, but I just, I'm just always looking for good stories. So I guess
yeah,
I should be enjoying these good stories. But hey,
yeah.
do you want to hear about another good story?
Absolutely. Lay it on me.
I will. I'm gonna lay ethers.
Ooh, I guess this one's in the title, so
I gotta
you gotta
talk
talk
about
about
it.
it.
So yeah, this is the one shot from Source Point Press that I was referring to earlier, and this was a lot of fun. This was one of those comics that I said this last week with uh, uh, Junction Jones and the Corduroy conspiracy that I went back and read it twice, and on the second read through, like I enjoyed it a lot more. And this is how I feel about movies sometimes because like I really sometimes when I want to know how something ends, I'm just more so focused on like the math in my head of trying to figure out the story instead of just sitting there and like allowing it to like just be lost in the wonders of storytelling. Um
Mhm.
so with this, I was definitely like being like, well, where's this gonna go? Is this gonna go here this way, this way, this way, this way? So then when I kind of just saw where it went, it was nice to go back and just reread it again and just like soak it in for what it was and not like what I kind of wanted it to go. Mostly because I'm somebody that's like super interested in the supernatural and like not necessarily like the afterlife, but like just spirituality or like the stuff that's happening around us that we can't see in the day to day
Yeah,
um and this is definitely like an exploration into that, and I really enjoyed it because it was definitely sold like this is art and this is like has like feeling and meaning to it, and it like absolutely does. And it's beautiful because I get what makes me so excited about exploring a lot of those topics is to get to see how people interpret those things and just be like happy and in celebrating their like interpretation rather than just me doing what I did and just being like, well, I'm somebody who believes in God, so I want to see God at the end of this or whatever, and it's like
yeah,
that wasn't what I got, and that's fine because the story that I got was beautiful and like cathartic and closing like gave closure. I will say that like the story is one of like you don't really find out how the girl died, I feel like it's heavily implied that she offed herself. Um,
Mhm.
and was just, I mean, that's a very callous way of saying that, but that
Yeah.
you know, she committed suicide, and that's you know, an epidemic in our society, that people, you know, get so lost and so depraved that they think is a solution. And I've been there.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like I'm speaking about something that is foreign for me at all. But yeah, so it was just really, it was less so a story about death, but more so about like, how do you accept the shameful parts of yourself, or not even so much the parts of yourself, just the hurt that you've left behind. And there's this beautiful line in there of like, she's there's like, you know, everything's just kind of a metaphor, and everything's kind of ethereal, and everything that like, it's very dreamy. So like, she'll engage with like a mountain, she'll start climbing it, and then it turns into something else. um and when she's climbing this mountain, there's this line about, she says that she can see like the faces on the mountain are becoming the faces of everyone who tried to love her when she decided it was easier to be alone. And it's,
Mhm.
I think the exact line is something like, it was easier to be alone instead of being loved. And I'm like, man, I really get that, because you know, I'm a person that, I struggle with addictions, I struggle with depression, all this stuff. And it's a lot easier for me to like just sit and like just stew in it, instead of being like, I should probably talk to somebody and get some help, and like just even be more open with my friends or my partner, or like whatever it is, you know? So for me, this was like, the beauty of this wasn't so much the exploration of like death, but it was the exploration of like acceptance of self. And I think that especially like
Mhm.
for people who are like depressed, like suicidally depressed, is that they, and this is like just speaking from my own voices inside of my head, it's like, people would be better off without you. And that's not true. You know, that's kind of the lie that does you in. But it was beautiful to see her kind of realizing that, kind of, as she was going through all of these struggles and turmoils in the afterlife, of going from one kind of trial to the next, of being like, seeing her shame and seeing her guilt, and allowing herself to like be okay with it, and be understand that it had its own place. And yeah, so for me, it was just a beautiful exploration of kind of, what does it mean to accept yourself, and what is it, including all the terrible things that you've done, you know, because sometimes you do bad things, you know. So
Yeah.
that was it was just a lot of fun. And man, I just love one shots, because give me something I can go back to, you know. And
Yeah.
this is something that I will for sure be going back to, probably the next time I go through a bout of existential dread, which could be at any point in time. Just point me in the right direction. But
Yeah, no, that was one last week that I was hoping to pick up. My shop unfortunately didn't have it. I didn't ask them to pull
also,
that
I
in
just I
either.
just realized I didn't even say who that was by, and I gave a very good review, so I don't want to say it was written by Anis Abdulak, art is by Dennis Menhir, edits by Michelle Abundar, and letters by DC Hopkins. Sorry
Mm.
if I said any of those incorrect, but yeah, good job, team.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking at a preview for it, and that's that's some good art.
that is some good art, man. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's like I said last week, it's like spiritual soup. It's like being watched up. I mean, there is times where like there's also a cat in there that's like representative of her shadow. Because I
Yeah,
could talk about that. But like just go like it's a one-off. Like, and I'm pretty sure was like only, yeah, it was only $5. So like just pick it up. It's a great exploration of a bunch of themes. So we're over time, bud. So anything you
are
want
we
to
over
throw?
time? Oh
Oh
man,
my goodness.
boy, oh
Any
boy, time sure does fly today, doesn't it?
we,
Um,
we just had so many gosh darn pulls.
yeah, I mean, other stuff that I got into this week. I mean, it's all behind me, but the stuff that I got excited about was like, I said I went down a kind of a rabbit hole of image this last week, and so I actually just went back and started reading Spawn from like the beginning.
Oh,
And
nice.
it was such a cool feeling reading issue one again. It's been like, man, like I remember like the first time like I opened up Spawn one and like saw these panels. Like that all just came like rushing back to me. So it was really cool to like read through that. So I've read through the first volume so far this week, and then I also am starting to read through Daredevil from Daredevil 1, 1964, I believe.
Oh, really? Like going all the way back?
Yeah.
Wow.
So those, I think I'm just gonna have those two things kind of going tentatively, just fill them in when I can. But it's been fun to go back on some of those old things.
I have an old Daredevil on my wall, and I'll have to look and see what it is, so that when you get there, you'll have to let me know if it's any good in the context of the world.
Yeah.
Nice, man. That sounds dope. I wish I had the time to go back to all that old stuff. Not, I'm not saying anything. I just wish I had the time to read all the comics in the world. But
don't we all?
The Wasp, this is, I have no smooth transition to this. The Wasp, it's been
Marvel.
good. And this is like, I did post about this, and I'm like, maybe I should go back to Marvel, because this is a lot of fun, and like what makes it fun is because the world and all that stuff that's built around it. So it's, they definitely have those places. And actually, shout out to our pals over at the Comic Book Lair. They just put out a bonus episode today with Ross, where they just kind of just talk about the they call it story time with Ross, because I said that one time during an episode, and I 100% think Ross should be doing bonus episodes with them, or his own solo thing, because he's got such
story
a great
time with Ross would be something. If he like live streamed or just went live on Instagram for like bedtime, even just like to talk about a single arc of something, I would watch that.
Me too. So 100%.
Do it, Ross.
So do it. So go over there if you want to hear about what's all the stuff that's going on with Marvel. And the last thing is just, I hate this place. I said this on Instagram. Really great to be back in this world. And things are getting just spooky. And spooky, and not like a supernatural way, but spooky as in like, oh, this is terrifying, of like the danger that you're in, because just some stuff that happens. But those are some good comics. So
right on, man.
Well, hey, do you feel like bringing this horse into town and being like, you did a good job, horsey? I bet you're tired from that long walk in the wherever we are.
Yeah, roll into town and tie it up at the watering hole, and
then run away with another horse and say, ha ha ha, loser.
Exactly. That's what
I feel like every week I'm mean to this horse.
Every old Western was like
just trading off their horses.
But anyways, let's start tying this thing up.
Well, that actually works. Good job.
Thank you to the iHeart ABJ. That is our friend Anthony Blackwell Jr. He lets us use this platform to stream. So thank you, Anthony. To find us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all at pullboxpals.
We got it.
You can find me at mad_nerdy, and you can find Monk at that Monk guy on Instagram. And if you are watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever, please give us a review, write a review. It all just helps us out. We really enjoy doing this. We'll probably be doing this regardless of whether or not you help us out or not. So,
but just help us out, and then we can do it more people, and then more people leave reviews, and it becomes an infinite cycle. And before you know it, we're the Joe Rogan of comic books, where we were living in Austin and we're making millions of dollars, and we're on psychedelics. All right. Well, hey, I'm looking at my horse in the eye, and it says that it's getting tired. So I think it's time to say, I ain't had a horse like this in years.